manager might be the biggest concern after that.
I mean, that is just one absolute fail-safe. I'm so delighted I landed on my feet and I'm also grateful there was only 3 steps.
You're okay?
Let's be fair. Yeah, no, I actually, nothing hurt, thank goodness, because if it would, I would have probably cried.
In terms of team news?
Everybody that was available last game is available today, tomorrow.
Right. Do you change your approach at all for a game like this? Obviously, you can lose 1-0 and still top the group, but you never go into a game aiming to lose 1-0. But because you don't have to win it, does that change the approach at all?
No, play to win every game. That's what you learn over the years. I don't think it's... I think the fact that we've... Why is it echoing so badly?
It's really echo, isn't it?
Is it just me?
No, well, should we try and turn that thing
To the other microphone?
We can do it again if you want to.
Any better?
As long as I make it to that land, that's totally fine.
I can't hear it.
You've better, if you caught that
Yeah,
one
that's-
out, if you even caught it, don't you dare. Just so we're clear, I will hunt you down, Harry, if that makes any appearance around my players.
Can we sit it?
Yeah.
That sounds much better.
Yeah. You stay in the top right, yeah?
I've missed
Yeah,
it.
fine.
All right.
Ollie, I see you at the back with your head down. Chloe, let me tell you, I will find you.
Are we back? Ollie, are we back live?
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah, so I'll just ask that same question again then. So the approach is always to win regardless of what the permutations are?
Yeah, I think last year was such a learning curve for the team. When you're going into a game where you say, oh, we don't have to, as long as we don't lose by a certain number, catastrophic headspace. One, I wouldn't entertain at all. I think training's been hard, and it's been hard for many reasons, because if the team aspires for the biggest things, then it has to train with that application, and well, certainly stimulated different overloads this week with that in mind, and I expect that my team has the right approach, and I'd be disappointed if it was otherwise.
Come the final whistle tomorrow night, you looking forward to the break?
I feel bad for saying yes, because I had 6 weeks off and I feel fresh as a daisy. I am happy for my staff and the players that they get a break. Me personally, I'm just finding the feet again.
And obviously, it gives you a chance to sort of reflect on the first chunk of the season. It couldn't have really gone much better, could it?
I think sometimes in the eyes of our fans it can. And as I always say, we have to be, I think, extremely grateful for this team. This is a team that's been at the top, at least domestically, for a long time. And I think the fact that we can continue to maintain a set of standards that we live and die by is, for me, always the thing you can be most proud of. What I have learned is that the hardest thing to do is to keep winning.
Mm-hmm.
So, credit to the players to get us to the halfway point.
This will be the last time we speak to you this year, so
Yeah.
a more sort of general reflective question on 2022, not just for Chelsea, but for women's football in this country. Has it been the year that attitudes towards women's game changed?
In wider society, yes. I think the gradual growth has been happening anyway, so there was already a solid foundation. It took an explosive moment, like the Euros, to almost like inject steroids into the sport and fast forward our journey. But I think the foundations are underpinning it are able to cope with those challenges. So it's about sustaining where we are now and going again, especially with the World Cup on the horizon next year. But what a wonderful year for women's football, and particularly for the Lionesses. They've certainly made the whole country proud of their achievements.
And from your own point of view, you said, you're just finding your feet now, so the break's kind of almost coming.
I don't know if those stairs have anything to go by. Clearly, I am not finding my feet.
Over the next 3.5 weeks. Obviously, you know, you've got Christmas and Harry to look after as well. But how much will you think about Arsenal away in the middle of January, and how much will you completely switch off?
No, I would lie to you if I told you I'd be poring over materials for the beginning of the year. Switch off means switch off, and it's there for a reason, because you've got to create the headspace to be able to go and have another jump. My first thought will be when we come back, we're going on a warm weather sort of training camp, getting that preparation right, and then into the first game, which just happens to be Arsenal.
Which on paper, you know, is
A
the toughest
cracker.
game of the season, isn't it?
The
Arsenal
game
away.
everybody wants to see, at least derby game in London. Manchester has one. The top games,
Yeah.
two top teams on top form. You know, they're the games I love the most.
On the subject of Arsenal, they've had, you know, Beth and Viv to suffer the same season-ending injury within weeks of each other. You know, two players not only in the same squad but they live under the same roof. It can be a cruel game, can't it, football?
Yeah, I mean, for the game to lose two players of that quality and the World Cup to lose those players is horrendous for both of them. And I've been a huge advocate of looking after the players and getting it right. But I think my comments in and around the management piece around fatigue and keeping players on the pitch would take an entire day.
Yeah.
So I'll have to save that for the book, I guess.
Is that one of the sort of... You spoke about the popularity of the game and how the game is growing increasingly. Is that one of the flip sides of it, that because you're playing more now and there is heavier demand on these players, these injuries aren't going to...
No, this has nothing to do with playing more, in my opinion. Nothing. This is not simplistic as that. We don't play anywhere near the number of games they do in the men's game, but they don't have the same number of this type of injury. It is a much bigger conversation that goes beyond this interview.
Can you touch upon it at all?
Can't. It's too long. It's not simplistic. It's not as simple as just, is it fatigue? Is it games? Is it hormonal? Is it their boots? It's a lot. There's a huge conversation around it, and one that is tragic for the players. And I think it's about knowledge, and is the knowledge there around to be able to deliver what is required to keep players on the pitch.
Well, as it's a conversation for another day, I'll change the subject then. I'll ask you one final question. Last time I was here, you told me how baking has become a passion. Have you made the Christmas pudding this year yourself?
No, but he's into my banana cake.
Is that right?
The good thing is chocolate banana cake with Nutella seems to be the flavour of the week. Chocolate pudding, Christmas pudding, I'll leave that for my mum.
That's for your mum.